We're constantly surrounded by health rules, aren't we? Drink 8 glasses of water a day. Don't eat right before bed. Don't even think about swimming after you eat. We hear this stuff from our parents. We see it all over the internet. But have you ever really stopped to ask how many of these so-called facts are actually just fiction? I'm willing to bet you followed at least one of these rules your entire life without ever questioning it. But it turns out a surprising number of things we just accept as health gospel are, well, built on some pretty shaky foundations. So let's get into it. We're going to break down 12 of the most stubborn health myths that are out there. Our mission? To separate the long-held fiction from the actual hard scientific fact. Let's get started. Okay, let's start in a world that is just jam-packed with conflicting advice. Diet and nutrition. This is where some of the most persistent myths tend to live. So let's see what's what. First up, the big one, the classic 8 glasses a day rule. Here's the truth. There's no magic number. Our real hydration needs are totally personal. They depend on our body, how active we are, even the weather. And get this, we get a ton of water from the food we eat. Think cucumbers or watermelon. In fact, drinking way too much water can actually be dangerous. Oh man, here's a huge one. This is the myth that basically launched the entire low-fat everything craze. The idea that eating fat makes you fat is just a massive misunderstanding. The reality? Weight gain is about a pretty simple formula. You consume more calories than you burn. That's it. It doesn't matter if those extra calories come from fat or carbs or protein. In fact, not only is fat not the enemy, our bodies desperately need it to function. Now, we're talking about the good stuff, of course, healthy fats, things like olive oil, nuts, avocados. These are absolutely essential for everything from your brain health to producing hormones. So the key isn't avoiding fat, it's about choosing the right kinds of fat. Okay, this next one can be a really sensitive and misunderstood topic. Now, while a diet that's super high in sugar can lead to weight gain, which is a major risk factor for type 2 diabetes, sugar itself is not the direct cause. The truth is way more complex than that. It's a mix of your genetics, how active you are, and your diet as a whole. And hey, on that note, what about so-called natural sugars, like honey or agave nectar? They're marketed as being so much healthier, but guess what? Your body doesn't really see a huge difference. To your body, sugar is pretty much sugar. Whether it's from a healthy fruit juice or a candy bar, too much of it is not a good thing. Moderation, as always, is what matters. Ah, yes, the midnight snack guilt. We've all been warned, right? Don't eat before bed. But the science on this is really clear. A calorie is a calorie. Your body doesn't have a clock that suddenly makes food more fattening after 8 p.m. It's all about your total calorie intake over a 24-hour period, not the specific timing. The real problem with late-night eating, it's usually when we mindlessly overeat. For decades, we were told that cholesterol was public enemy number one. But we now know that our bodies actually need it. We use it to build cells and make hormones. The real villain that we should all be focused on avoiding? Those unhealthy trans fats you find in a lot of processed and fried foods. Okay, so we've talked about food. Now let's shift gears from what we put in our bodies to how our bodies actually work and move. I bet some of these are myths you've believed since you were a little kid. I bet you can just hear a parent or a teacher's voice in your head right now, can't you? Stop that, you're going to get arthritis. Well, I am thrilled to tell you that this particular warning is totally false. Yep, you heard that right. Scientists have looked at this for decades and have found zero connection between the habit of cracking your knuckles and getting arthritis. Now, that sound might be really annoying to the people around you, but you can rest easy knowing you're not damaging your joints. You know this one. It's the golden rule of every single public swimming pool. But guess what? There's really no science to back it up. Sure, if you eat a massive 5-course meal and then try to swim laps, you might get a cramp. But for the average person having a normal swim after a light meal, it is perfectly safe. Now, this one might actually surprise some of you. The old school advice was always to do those long, static stretches before a workout, right? Where you just hold a pose. But modern exercise science shows that dynamic warm-ups, so active movements like leg swings or arm circles, are way more effective for getting your muscles ready and preventing injuries. All right, for our last section, let's get a little microscopic and zoom in on sickness and immunity. In today's world of wellness trends and health scares, these myths can be especially hard to shake. You see it everywhere, right? The detox industry is huge, selling all these expensive juices and cleanses. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. You already have a perfect, high-tech, built-in detoxification system that works 24/7, completely free of charge. I'm talking about these incredible organs, your liver, your kidneys, and even your lungs. They are absolute powerhouses of filtration. They work around the clock to clear out waste and toxins from your body. And trust me, they do a much better job than any expensive juice cleanse ever could. Put on a jacket or you'll catch a cold. We've all heard this a million times. But cold weather doesn't just create viruses out of thin air. You get sick because you come into contact with germs. And those germs just happen to spread more easily when we're all cooped up indoors together during the winter. The cold itself is not the culprit. Okay, this is a really important one to get right. Vaccines absolutely do not and cannot give you the disease they're designed to protect you from. They work by introducing a safe, harmless piece of the germ to your body. Think of it like a training dummy for your immune system. This lets your body learn how to fight off the real thing without you ever having to actually get sick. So, after busting 12 pretty common myths, what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway from all of this? Look, the reason this all matters is about empowering yourself. It's about encouraging you to question that common wisdom we hear all the time. It's about understanding that your body is unique. And most importantly, it's about learning to focus on real scientific evidence instead of just stories or old wives' tales. And that leaves me with one final question for you. If so many of these widely held health beliefs are just plain wrong, what other common knowledge should we all start taking a closer look at? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.